Round here, them guns get the last word.
A couple of weeks ago, we saw something crazy happen at the EWC. We saw many of the top players from around the world show up to compete for basically $300,000. Second place walked away with like $150,000. Third place walked away with like $75,000. In total, for the 25 players who showed up, $1 million was given out. The people who came in like dead last, like Knee, a couple other players, they got $5,000, and that's still big money. That tournament was absolutely huge. It was exciting. It was entertaining. I loved it. I made a video about it. You guys can go back and watch it to get the full details on it. But as we know, Arslan, Ash, and Atif were some of the favorites to win the whole thing, but they both got shut down by the guy who took it, Ulsan. Ulsan did incredible 5-0 Atif, something we didn't even think was possible. This left Arslan Ash in tears, and basically the whole player base was on notice. Ulsan is the truth. Now, even though the Pakistani players like Arslan took a huge loss, what makes you great is not the fact that you win. It's how you bounce back and recover from a loss. And bounce back and recover, Arslan Ash did. Before we move on to him, just quickly talking about Ulsan, he is still out there doing great things. This guy won the UFA 2024 tournament, so he is now the back-to-back champion. He won 23 and 24, so he's still cooking, and he's definitely, keeping that same energy, and he's going to be still a force to be reckoned with. But now let's shift over and talk about Arslan. He, after recovering from that loss, he has to build back up, keep working, keep getting better. So when he does cross paths with Ulsan once again, he can come out on top. And what he did in this tournament, it's looking like he's prepared. You have this tweet here. I kind of mentioned this before, but he was disappointed that he couldn't make it to Punishment 3 in Bolivia. He had some visa issues, but then he said that he's also heading to Thunderstruck. Now, after landing safely in Mexico, he then continued on to the tournament. This is where my mind was completely blown. He puts on Twitter, made it to the top 8 in KOF after almost 2 years of not playing. At least I'm getting a medal. For those of you who don't know, Arslan and many of the Pakistani players doesn't just play Tekken. And this is one thing that I like to highlight and, draw comparisons to when you talk about some of the other greats, like let's say a JDCR and Knee. Correct me if I'm wrong, but those guys really don't venture out and play like a Mortal Kombat, a Street Fighter, a KOF, right? They only are legends when it comes to Tekken. But Arslan and the Pakistani players, they play many different games. And this is what allowed them to see the potential in Akuma when no one else can. They are very used to these 2D mechanics and meters and bars and all of these things that other games offer. So when Akuma was brought into Tekken 7, they didn't hesitate to gravitate towards him and see what he was capable of. And basically the point is like these guys play many different games at a very, very high level. And Arslan Ash making it to the top 8 in KOF without playing the game in 2 years is just pure evidence of that. And it doesn't stop there, but I do want to talk about this second tweet from Arslan Ash that he made at the same time. It's about the TWT. Now, just briefly before we go into this, I will say TWT is always changing. Every single year, the rules change and alter slightly. Like you could talk about how coaching is the big thing that everyone's talking about. In 2025, we're definitely going to see a rule that addresses that because that's what the developers always do. Players are complaining about something. Next year, the rules address that complaints. And I think eventually the tournaments will be in a very, very nice spot where they don't have to make any changes like that anymore. And the tournament could just be the tournament, right? But Arslan says, I think the format next year should be a first to 3 from at least top 32 onwards at a Master and Challengers event. The reasoning is competitors travel all across the world when the game is volatile and the tournaments run quickly because of the game's state, so it should be more fair for players. Now, this is actually something that I would agree with. Top 32, right? You don't have that many players in the tournament, but also after seeing the EWC and you saw that one guy lose 4 rounds straight and then he came back and won all 5, if it was a first to 2 or something like that, or a first to 3 or whatever, right, that wouldn't have been possible. So just to see players have more time to learn, adjust, and overcome I would love to see that. So first to three is something that I would support, and if developers decide to implement that, I think it would be good because you know, that's what the tournaments are all about. It's not about picking a character, landsliding your opponent with some crazy oki that they never seen before. Give the players time to adjust and learn what the other person is doing, what they like to do, and then that's where you can really see what comes out on top, right? Like if you think about professional sports, there's many different quarters and halves, and because you have to adjust, right? You may see like a player scoring a lot of points in the first, but then when it comes to the final, he's like, you know, getting D'd up, you know, he's like two people are guarding him and they're shutting him down, right? So I just would like to see that kind of adaptation with Tekken, and I think right now you can't really see that because, you know, you could talk about the balancing. The balancing definitely allows for a lot of blowouts, but also too, I think just the first to two format is not something that really allows for the players to really bounce off of one another, right? And you could talk about how some players are better in long sets, like they said with Atif. They said Atif was, you know, the favorite to win the EWC is because he's really strong in long sets, and the first to five, you know, that favors him, right? So I like what Arslan is saying there. I just wanted to mention it, but let's keep going on. The next tweet, going back to Arslan dominating the KOF. He quote tweets and says, made top 8 winners in Tekken 8 as well. So he's in both tournaments at the same event. A little bit later, he tweets out that he won the Thunderstruck. Can't believe I took home the win for KOF tournament. Didn't see it coming, but I'll take it. Now I have the actual results here just to put it into perspective of how much this guy is cooking, because he is absolutely cooking. As you can see here with KOF, we'll talk about this first. I won't break down the whole top 8, but you could basically see that Arslan Ash was 0-2ing this guy, 0-3ing that guy. Arslan fought Danny at the start of top 8. Danny went to the losers, ran his way all the way through losers, and he 3-0'd the last guy in the loser finals, went back up to Arslan, and Arslan 3-0'd him again. So this flawless run from Arslan after not playing the game competitively for 2 years is incredible. And when you look at what he's doing in Tekken 8, it's the same thing. Bro is just flawlessly beating everyone. Farzin is his first opponent at the start of top 8. He 2-0 Farzin. He then 3-0 Joka. Farzin makes his way through the whole entire loser brackets. He 2-0 2-1, 2-0 K-Swiss, 3-0 Joka, and then Farzin go back to top 8 or back to grand finals to fight Arslan, and Arslan 3-0s him again. This guy Arslan Ash is crazy. He basically, in both tournaments, he did not lose one single match, Tekken 8 and KOF. And the reason why I like this as well is because Arslan Ash struggled in the past with playing both Tekken and another game. You could talk about Tekken and Street Fighter or Tekken and KOF. In the past, when he tried to play a different game, his Tekken knowledge would just suffer a little bit, right? And he would end up coming in like 32nd or like 46. He would get like a huge upset, right? But to see that he finally overcame that and he made a flawless run through both tournaments is like insane. When he first showed up in Tekken 7 and he defeated everyone, I think it was like Evo Japan like 2018, that was incredible. But then he just continued. He defeated the whole Flukistan thing that everyone was trying to throw his way. He cemented his name as one of the greatest to ever do it. He won like 5 Evos. He's the only person to win like a, what was it, like a Evo Japan in the same year, and then now he's winning multiple tournaments for different games on the same day, same event, flawlessly. He's just doing side quests at this point. KOF is just a side quest, and bro's out here doing it effortlessly. And once again, just to speak to how Ulsan defeated him, that is even wilder. We'll see what these competitors do once they meet again,